Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back for another episode of Crash and Chug, where we have Chris Maleta, who is a first responder, but also an entrepreneur, making apparel, literally making it himself with hats, shirts for outdoor enthusiasts. He doesn't really pigeonhole himself to any particular discipline. So please sit back, relax, with your favorite beverage on your way to your favorite trailhead, your commute to work, and then just enjoy the conversation as we get into it. What'd you say, menudo?
Bienvenidos.
Bienvenidos. We have Chris Maleta, or how do you say that? How do you like to pronounce
Uh,
it?
Chris Maleta.
Melita, there you go. Is that Italian or it don't matter? I'm just curious.
It's Polish.
It's Polish. You see, I'm trying to
Polish,
turn it
yeah.
into a Latino, man. Speaking of Maletas, you're probably gonna hear some music in the background. There's they're doing constructions in my neighborhood, or like building up new houses, and they got the banda and everything up loud, man. So you're gonna hear that tan tan at the end and stuff.
Hey,
Yeah, man, they got to work, man. I'd be there right with them. It was kind of funny the other day. I was like in the backyard and I was doing whatever, and that shit was loud. And I was just like, I was like gonna put my own music on, but I was just like, no, it's just kind of like rocking to it. Like I haven't listened to a lot of this music in a while. But anyways, so what's up, man? How you been?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Like I said, just enjoying the journey. I'm on the roller coaster ride, so
Yeah, definitely. So
yeah.
So Chris here, he's a entrepreneur, also a mountain biker, firefighter, amongst many other things. He wears a lot of hats.
Also a fellow Midwesterner from the start.
There you go. So
KC, born and raised.
yeah. These both these guys are from Kansas City, and they were getting into a lot of the places they were from. So catching up before the episode, and we had a little bit of a debacle. I obviously forgot about the time difference between West Coast, Central Time and East Coast. But hey, man, we got to sort it out. But thanks for joining us today, man.
Yeah. So, like I said, I'm Chris Maleta. I started Dyrt Lyfe. So what about 3 years ago? My buddy, like I said, I'm a firefighter, paramedic. So I've been doing that for about 15 years. And one of the guys I work with at the station came in one day, like I said, about 3 years ago, and he was like, "Hey, dude, you want to go mountain biking?" And I'm like, "Dude, we live in Kansas City. Like, it's flat. There's no mountain biking here." Little did I know, the hidden secret of Kansas City is there is actually really good mountain biking in Kansas City. Went my first time, and I got hooked.
Yeah, man.
Did you fall your first time though? Did you fall?
I did not fall my first time, but I will say the rocks, roots, and everything on Shawnee Mission Trail was very humbling. And I was on a hardtail also.
Nice.
No clue what I was doing, and I couldn't imagine how guys go through that stuff.
Yeah.
But I was hooked. And after a long couple years, I ended up upgrading to a full suspension Trek, and it makes a world of difference.
Yeah, it definitely does. And I've seen, because when Chug was telling me about Kansas City, I started doing my research fucking YouTube, and I started, seeing some of the trail. Y'all got some gnarly, janky stuff up there, man.
A lot of hills. You surprised?
Yeah, you would be surprised. So my family and I, we had the opportunity to move to Wilmington, North Carolina 3 months ago.
I saw that. I saw when y'all did that move.
Yeah. It was kind of like unexpected, quickly happened, but now kind of being at a place that is pretty flat. I understand that Kansas City is not as flat as I thought it was.
Yeah, that's crazy, huh?
Wilmington, North Carolina is pretty flat. Good trails, but it's pretty flat. So, again, if you ever get a chance to get out to Kansas City, it's got really good mountain biking, and the guys that are building the trails are really putting some good stuff together out there.
Nice. Yeah, I know.
Anybody with extra large frame, if you're not using it, here we go. Start that campaign back up, baby.
Hey man, I'm 6'2" also, so finding, like you said, frame bike is definitely one of those things. You know, not a lot of tall guys out doing mountain biking, but there are.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so that's one of the things too that is once we started this podcast and then he kind of started riding again because he used to ride like in Spain and he was talking about like how before when he used to ride as a kid, you know, BMX bikes and stuff like that. But fast forward, you know, COVID happens and all this stuff and it puts a strain on the supply chain of like bikes. So, you know, along with life. So I mean that's obviously been
Or I could just want not to pay for it and be somebody's walking billboard. You know what I'm saying? Or that.
So
Hey man, I bought my full suspension like right before COVID went down because I still haven't got my my 1 year like tune up from Trek from that because they weren't having people come in. You know,
Oh, really?
So luckily I got mine right before COVID hit and got to enjoy the trails. You know, during COVID.
right.
Nice.
And that was one of the things that was still open, and that's why it kind of saw a boom of like mountain biking. Well, mountain biking in general saw a boom. Well, most outdoor activities saw a boom because that was one of the things that wasn't closed down. At least here in Texas, like the trails are still open. A lot of like outdoor venues were still open. So a lot of people kind of just flock to that because they're going stir crazy inside. So what type of truck do you have? Oh, go ahead.
And if I could add, if
Yeah.
you are new to mountain biking, hey, if the trails are wet, respect the signs and don't destroy the trails.
That's a very
During
good point.
COVID, I saw a lot of ruts and stuff being made because people just didn't respect the trails. And if you have trash, can you just please put it in your bag, your pocket, something? Because I see a lot of trash out there, and it's like,
Public service
Man.
announcement.
yeah, respect
Life
the trails,
announcement.
respect nature. Yeah,
No, yeah, definitely. And that's so. Is that something you were?
we're all in this together, you know.
Yeah, no shit.
They'll preserve it.
Hell yeah, and I think that's something that made me more aware when I started writing was like those little things. Not to say that it didn't bother me before because in the military, I'll be walking on base and I'd see
course.
trash and I'd pick it up, throw it in my pocket or whatever. But definitely when I started writing, it gave me more of and it sticks out more too. You're on the trails and you just see like a water bottle or you'll see this or that, like or masks. I saw a lot of masks on the trails.
Yeah,
So yeah, definitely.
As opposed to city riders where we might see condoms. We're not picking that up. Might see a couple condoms. You know what I'm saying? 40-ounce bottles. We're not picking that up.
What kind of Samaritan are you? You're not picking it up.
I'm gonna probably I'm right there with you. I'm not picking that one up either.
Yeah, but if I'm at Wyandotte County Lake or something, it's a higher probability that I'm still not gonna pick up the condom wrapper because there's a lot of sex going on there too. But it definitely makes sense.
Hey. Wyandotte County Lake in Kansas City. It's a hidden gem.
Yes.
I mean, I think it's Sow House. I don't know. I'm sure if I'm not pronouncing it correctly, but it's like an old bathroom out in the middle of the woods. And people, they have trails riding through it. And it's Wyandotte County Lake is kind of one of those hidden gems.
Oh, wow.
And I lived 10 minutes from there. And I'm like, trails in Wyandotte County Lake. I lived in Kansas City my whole life. And I'm like, mountain biking trails in Kansas City at Wyandotte County Lake, dude, telling you.
Yeah.
Place to go.
I didn't find out about Christmas in July until about 2 years ago. At the lake there, how they decorate the boats. I didn't know that was a thing 2 years ago.
Decorate the boats.
Dude, they got some jumps back there called Oz in Wyandotte County Lake. It's called Oz. And some guys are hitting some big jumps out there.
OD
so if
or
you ever
OZ?
YouTube, watch them.
OZ.
Pretty good.
Wizard of Oz, OZ.
Yeah.
Is that because of like the Ozark trails? Is that what they call them?
Dorothy.
No?
Ah,
Yeah, just the movie, but
such an idiot, man.
I see the picture. I got a video of it. I sent it to you, Simon, and that's what it says. And and they got the Oz jumps, and then they got the in red. Don't do this if you don't know what you're doing.
Nice.
Dude,
are they like just big lips, like big flowy? Like are they gaps?
Yeah,
or are they...
yeah.
Nice.
The big lips. some launches and stuff. It's dude, they did it right there.
I need to go out there.
Somebody got to record it for you because I'm definitely not riding that.
I'll go off them, but man, I'm not hitting them like those guys are.
Yeah.
Shout out to those that are. Stay safe.
So
wear your helmet.
yeah, definitely wear your helmet. I know I went down earlier last month. We went to Arkansas, and I didn't.
Oh, nice.
I didn't realize how close Kansas City, or not Kansas, but Kansas and Arkansas were close to each other. At least Bentonville, Arkansas, to be specific.
That's why they call it Arkansas. You know what I'm saying?
There you go. And
dude, it's what, a 3-hour drive from Kansas City, and it's Chuggy. If you ain't been there, man.
Yeah,
Arkansas, like Bentonville area, it's pretty gnarly.
And if you definitely haven't, if you've ridden, like even if you take your hybrid over there, there's a lot of like city trail bikes. I mean, like greenways.
Dude, the trails are pretty smooth.
Yeah,
they're dirt, but they're pretty smooth. You know, I think it was the back 40 was pretty rocky, but Slaughter Pen and all that kind of in town, I'm pretty sure if I remember right, it's pretty smooth. Like they do they put a lot of effort in them trails. It was actually kind of one of those things is I wanted to hit Bentonville one more time before I left, but it didn't happen.
Definitely go check it out, man. If you can, it ain't that far of a drive, and there's a lot of stuff to do there. Like, you know, like places to eat and stuff. It's all integrated with the town of Bentonville, which is speaking of Walmart earlier, that's where the very first Walmart was. So, yeah. That's why
those guys put a lot of money in those.
Yeah, something like over 700 million or something. It's something ridiculous.
So let me ask you a question, Chris. When or whoever is going to donate me my extra large frame, I'm already saying thank you. Would it take away from the experience if it was electric? You know what I'm saying? Like pedal assisted? Would that take away from anything as you know, like?
Maybe your fitness.
Man, I don't know, because I've been seeing a lot of debate on mountain bikers with the e-bikes and stuff. I mean, I get it, but to me, I feel like an e-bike is like a little bit of a dirt bike, just not, you know. There's a lot of debate out there right now, man.
Yeah. Because I can see it as, you know, the OGs. We've been doing it. We started here. If you can't do it, you don't have enough energy, don't go out there. Don't do it. But then there's the other, hey, work smarter, not harder. If I could electric go up and then coast down, I could do it more times.
That's true. So I know a lot of guys with e-bikes here. And I mean, they're like, a lot of them are older. And I'm all for it, as long as it doesn't have a throttle where you can like set it. Because I have seen those on the trails too, where I'm going, I don't know, maybe like 20 miles an hour, and then somebody's just kind of catching up like really quick, and there's a like throttle assist. But most of the guys I ride with, they have e-bikes, and they're not throttle, so you have to pedal. I mean, granted, it gets them outdoors, so I'm all for that. They can't like really peel out, you know. I mean, technically, if you have enough, you know, power to the legs, you can peel out any bike, really. You just push really hard. But most of them, I mean, I don't know, if they get outdoors and stuff, I'm all for it. But at the same time, there is a lot of debate over it. But I don't know. I mean, right now it's kind of slim pickings. So you get what you can. You know what I mean?
Yeah, true.
So speaking of, I know we kind of got into the supply chain a little bit earlier. And being that you started Dyrt Lyfe, if you guys haven't checked out Dyrt Lyfe, go check them out on Instagram. It's I'll let you do your little promo, but check them out on Instagram.
DYRT LYFE. So yeah, man. So 3 years ago, so my family and I we had a trip out to Colorado, out in Vail. And we went into one of the local breakfast places, and we were like, hey, as a local, what would you suggest a family go to do? Well, the waitress was like, hey, go out to this place called Hanging Lake out in Colorado, you know, out past out past Vale and stuff. And we were like, okay, we never really hiked before. I mean, we walked trails and stuff, but never really went out and hiked. And we did that hike up to Hanging Lake, and it was amazing. I mean, you're out in nature. My kids were pretty young at that time, maybe like 7 and 5. And we all just had a blast. Made it up to Hanging Lake. It was probably a 2-hour hike. But once you got up to the lake, it was so crystal clear. You were out in nature, and it was amazing. And then you piggyback that time, I was also just getting introduced to mountain biking on top of that, which I've always loved the outdoors. Like I always said as a kid, either I'm going to live by the ocean or I'm going to live by the mountains, you know, and just always loved the outdoors. So as I'm, you know, doing these hikes, you know, my family are in love with it. I'm starting up mountain biking. At the time I had a Jeep also. So like we're hitting the trails there, we're doing all this. And it all just kind of came to me one day when I was out on the trails and I was like, Dyrt, you know, DYRT. And, you know, I started getting, one of the guys I met actually out on the trails was another firefighter in Overland Park. And so we started riding the trails more. And I started, you know, asking him the idea and what he thought of it. And he was like, dude, that's pretty cool, you know? So it was funny. Him and I actually made a trip down to Bentonville, and it was just like, I was just like, dude, like, this is it. So, you know, fast forward a little bit, my family and I, we made it out to Estes Park, probably the year before all COVID went down. And I just saw everybody out there just loving the Rocky Mountains, loving the trails, loving the outdoor life. And I'm like, I just still had this idea of Dyrt in my mind. And I'm like, you know, I've kind of dabbled around with other brands in the past. So I kind of knew the route I wanted to go with it. But there was just this Dyrt. I'm just like, man, like, I just love Dyrt, you know, like DYRT. It's cool, you know? So I went on the old Google machine and I started, you know, Googling up Dyrt. Has anybody done anything with Dyrt, you know? And there is some Dyrt Lyfe, DIRT LIFE. So I, you know, typed in, I tried to find dyrt.com. Well, somebody had, you know, DYRT.com. So I was like, okay. So I started designing the logo and I put Dyrt down. And I put Life at the end of it, LIFE. And I'm like, man, like, it doesn't really look good. So I changed the I to the Y. And I'm like, man, there is nobody that has this up and, you know, has this address. So I typed it in and Dyrt Lyfe was available. Nice. So that's how I looked at it. And I was like, man, that looks cool. So last year, we went on a ski trip. The guys from the station, we always do a ski trip up to the mountains. And I was on one of the slopes that day. And just out in the middle of the slopes is this evergreen tree just standing there. And I'm like, man, that is awesome. So I had to have my brother take a picture of me with it, you know. Immediately, I went right to the cabin after we got done that day. And I put I designed a tree, put it in the middle, and that's how Dyrt Lyfe logo got there.
Badass, man.
So
nice.
And it all came to you while you're outdoors too.
It did. I mean, man, I just don't want it. Like, I do love mountain biking, but I don't want it to just be focused on mountain biking. I want it to just be, if you love the outdoors and you love being out in the dirt, like, it's for you. Hiking, four-wheeling, mountain biking, climbing, kayaking, you know, in the, like, as a kid, I remember going whitewater rafting a couple times. Like, I just, yeah. So that's just what it's about. It's just being outside and enjoying, you know, and then I put together live for the adventure. Like, we all, you know, even myself, I get caught up in everyday life where you get scared of doing things because, oh man, I don't have the money to do this, or, you know, oh man, that's, you know, very risky or something, you know? And it's just like, at some point you got to learn to live for the adventure.
And
So
that's where a lot of people get. I was listening to something the other day, and that's where a lot of people get defeated. Uh, right at the thought, like the anxiety of not being able to do something because of they just in the thought processes. That's where they get stuck at. They never like ever attempt it because they're like, well, I'm probably gonna fail. I'm probably like not gonna be able to do it because of this. Or they find all these reasons not to, as opposed to just not even thinking about it and just start doing it. And that's kind of how
yeah,
this podcast started. I just had the idea and uh, as maybe writing, or I forgot how I came up, but I was just like, I'm just gonna start it the same way I started the logo and all this stuff. I just didn't really have an idea of where I wanted it to go, but eventually it evolved into this idea of like, trying to raise awareness through mountain biking, outdoors, outside nature, getting back to being a kid again, you know what I mean? And then
yeah, yeah.
through that, finding yourself. But I love how you selected dirt, because that's the very essence of us in general, you know what I mean, like what we're made up of, like what everything on this earth really, and that's like the basis of it. So that's pretty cool. And then and you design a lot of your own stuff. I know some of the videos and
I
stuff.
do it all myself, man. Everything's done myself right now. You know, I'm probably getting to a point of where I may need a little help, but I try to, this was a life lesson also for my kids. I kind of wanted to teach them that, if you put your mind to it, you can do anything. Little did I know the roller coaster ride that I was going to be on, because I mean, starting a business, starting a podcast, starting a YouTube channel, there's a lot of emotion in it. And there's a lot of roller coaster ride that you don't understand what you're getting yourself into, and you're vulnerable, like you said, you start up a podcast, well, what's my buddy's going to say, or something,
Right.
or you're like,
Somebody's gonna say something. Someone's always gonna say something.
Exactly, man. And what I say is like, hey, at least they know my name, at least they, so you put yourself out there and you're vulnerable. But I wanted to teach them, a lesson on, if you put your mind to it, it could happen. It really can.
Right. And that's kind of how and I was thinking back as you were saying that, and that's one of the things with mountain biking. It was kind of, yeah, a lot of it was for me, but a lot of it was also to try to pull myself out of where I was, and then at the same time also show my kids, because I was, my kids had primarily lived in San Antonio like their whole lives, and I was in the military, so their mom and I aren't together, so they would come visit me every chance I had, like, I'd save up money, all my leave, go get them, bring them back, Germany, all these different places. And then fast forward, I retire. That was one of my things, to try to spend more time with them, because that was my whole plan, was to get out, spend as much time with them, and like, try to capture that time that I missed, you know what I mean? And one of the ways was mountain biking. But that ended up working out because they had a couple crashes and stuff, and then they kind of got discouraged early on, and I didn't want to force them. So I kind of it kind of just went its way. But when through the courses of like many of the discussions that we had, like, because usually I talk with them and we have like long, talks about whatever, and they just kind of when packaging certain things, they were the ones that were kind of suggesting to me like, you should start a podcast. And at first I was just like, that doesn't make sense. Like, you know what I mean? Why would I do that? Who wants to listen to me? And then over time, they told me a few more times, and I think they kind of planted that seed. And then over the course of time, I was like, maybe I should. And then I contacted Chug out of like, well, I just kind of, how did I call you, man? Like, did I just call you out of the blue, or I
I
forgot how it
think
happened?
I think you might have seen like some of my YouTube channel, like maybe like years previous, and that kind of might have stuck in your brain. You just like reached out and was like, I wonder if I'll be interested. And
Yeah.
yes, I'm still here.
Yeah. So we just kind of started and just figured out like where we'd go from there. But no, I think
well,
that's,
dude, I think we're on, I mean, because I know, Chug, you said something about earlier about, BMX and stuff like that. Like, I was supposed to be a professional BMXer when I was younger. Nobody just believed in me. You know, my family was like, man, come on. Like,
Yeah, I
you're
got
6
you.
foot tall. Like, so we still laugh about it. But, dude, like, growing up in, you know, Kansas when you're younger, like, mountain biking wasn't, you know, a thing. You know, BMX was, dude, I remember. And it's kind of cool because I was a huge, like, Dave Mirra fan. I was a huge Ryan Nyquist fan. And one of the crazy things is I actually got to meet Ryan Nyquist a couple weeks ago. And it was, dude, I was like starstruck. I was like, dude, like I imagined when I was a kid that I was you know, hitting these jumps and stuff. So
That's
like
dope.
it's all evolved. And I think, you know, mountain biking is still that thing where it's still building, you know, like it's evolving. And I mean, people are starting to get like, I mean, dude, you guys watch Rampage. Like these guys are doing some insane stuff.
That's one of my
And it's
goals,
amazing.
man, is to be not to be like a participant in Rampage because I mean they only select like 15 riders or whatever. But I want to be able to, before I die, I want to be able to do drops like that, like 50, 60 feet. You know, I don't know why that's
Dude,
in
hey,
me.
I'll just go watch. All right.
Yeah, but
Like I said, I'll be the cameraman. I'll be right there.
Yeah.
yeah, but
I mean, so dude, so I'm having a conversation with Ryan Nyquist, and him being a professional, a gold medalist in the X Games, he's telling me how nuts these guys are. He's like, dude, they're taking jumps that are bigger than these trees here. And I'm like, dude, this is a gold medalist at the X Games
yeah,
that's saying that these guys are on a different level, which is amazing to hear, you know?
I can only imagine to actually be there and see you guys doing it. Like I've never seen anyone actually like perform any type of sendits or nothing. I just seen it on TV. And I seen how the jumps look with nobody on them. Just actually be there eventually to see that. I might have to bring a change of shorts because I'm gonna be like, I wet myself too much.
me too. If
Well,
I ever
dude,
get
you'll look up and you'll be like, okay, the camera doesn't do it justice. I mean,
it doesn't.
I bet that I mean, yeah, it's insane. So I really feel like the sport's evolving, which is really cool. It just and maybe it was COVID that gave it a lot more where people are like, man, like I can go out and hit these trails. I mean, even if you're not even biking, but hiking, you know, I mean, my kids have some horror stories of some of the hikes we went on because I was like, man, I think it's just a couple miles. And then it's like 5 hours later. Like,
Damn.
hey, and that was out at Shawnee Mission Park too.
Nice.
They'll tell you all about that one.
Yeah, I haven't been there, but
I've ridden around it, like just the pavement part, just to see the bridge and see the people on the on the floats and the kayaks. But I haven't been back up there where I got hookah bars on my socks or nothing like that, and checking for ticks. I haven't did that. No.
So how?
But
how,
go
ahead.
It's just like you said, just being outdoors. You know, I mean, like I feel, and I really hope that my kids kind of grasp like mountain biking and doing all that. Than the traditional sports. I'm like, man, like look at all this like cool stuff you can do, and there's an opportunity now. I mean, when we were kids, there wasn't none of that.
No.
So
like I would have loved. Going back to wind that kind of like, I would have loved in middle school and high school to have to go out there and practice kayaking. Like they had the kayak teams out there now. I would have loved to do that in high school. Probably maybe instead of baseball. I would have loved to do that.
I mean, could you imagine the jumps you would have gone off as like as a kid? You're like,
what?
Man.
And then like have somebody properly teaching you that in high school? That would be crazy.
I know that's one of there's I found out like there's at least 1 or 2 schools here in San Antonio that they actually have that as a mountain biking team at the high school.
That'd be super dope.
That's badass. I would have rather did that. I mean, knowing what I know now than football. I mean, don't get me wrong. I learned a lot of stuff from football, and I appreciate it for what it gave me. But if I would have kind of had a choice between the two, I would have rather did this, just because it's. Yeah. I mean, Yeah, you hit your head, but you don't hit your head as much as in football. And I use my head a lot. Which,
Yeah, you break the bone.
yeah, I'm not that bright now.
But I mean, like, dude, there's just so many opportunities to get out and do stuff. And I mean, coming down here to Wilmington, I mean, we're driving through the western part of North Carolina in the Asheville area, and I'm seeing them come down and, whitewater rafting and stuff and kayaking and all this. And I'm like, man, I got to make it out to Asheville soon, which we are going here in a week. And I'm like super stoked on it because
How far is Asheville
I haven't
from
been
you?
out there. So it's about 4 hours from us.
Nice. Maybe you could hit up
So
that new
not
place at
horrible.
sorry, I'm stepping on you. I said maybe you could hit up that new place at I don't know if it's open yet, but Seth Bike Hacks, he started like his Patreon and stuff. He used that money to start up another like its own downhill bike park. You pedal up and stuff, but I hear I mean, I've seen the videos. It looks fun as hell.
Dude, there's a lot of guys out west that they're hitting some jumps and doing some stuff. I'm like, dude, this is awesome. Like,
Yeah.
again, I'm gonna, like I said, like kind of like what Chug was saying. If I see some guys hitting some jumps, I'm gonna just be like starstruck, going like, holy crap, man! Like, again, I've seen some guys hit some jumps out like snowboarding and skiing. Like, video doesn't do it justice
Mm-mm.
because you look at it on a video and you're like, man, awesome. But when you see it out in person, you're like,
Yeah.
holy crap, man.
Especially like you appreciate this, like people that ride. Well, I guess this with any sport, but we appreciate it a little bit more because we understand what the skill it takes to do that, and then to see it in person and to see it happen, it's like, damn, that's
I can see like anything at a real high level. Like I was able to see some basketball and actually play basketball at a high level and like see it real time. It's different from watching it on TV. Like seeing somebody actually get jumped over and like dunked on
yeah,
real time. Yeah. Like see a little tear of somebody crying real time because they know that like that's different. It's different. So I can only
Yeah, yeah.
imagine, like mountain biking and all that. I can only imagine.
yeah. It's that I
But I
definitely
mean,
want to try to get out to Rampage and check that out one
oh yeah,
day.
yeah. Rampage is almost like my World Series that I want to go to. And man,
Yeah,
like I grew up watching the X Games.
nice.
Like the very beginning, like when everybody was starting to make their way up, before it was like this gigantic thing.
Mm-hmm.
So making Rampage and all that, you kind of lose it as a kid, but once you get back there, you're like, oh man, like, this is it, man. You're playing Tony Hawk's, video games. You're playing Dave Mears video games. You're playing like the snowboarding, cool border video games. So like getting to Rampage, yeah, that's definitely on the bucket list.
Yeah, I bet. Um, so as far as like with Dirt Life and stuff, like, did you guys run into a lot of issues trying to start up a business during COVID, like with all the like supply uh,
So
chain
the
issues?
cool thing is when I first started, like I said, I had a couple other brands, but one of the guys that I grew up with, his dad owned a sporting goods like little shop there in KC that they printed shirts. They did all like decal work. They did a lot of the hat work and stuff like that.
Oh, nice.
So
I like that.
and I owe so much to him. And once everything gets bigger, I definitely owe them so much because he helped me out so much. And his daughter works there too. But it was a buddy in my high school. His dad owned it. And they let me come in and they taught me how to screen print shirts, how to heat press hats, like how to print the stickers and weed the stickers out and get them all ready to go. So I owe them so much. And if you're ever in KC, Varsity Sports, they helped me out. If you need your uniforms or anything, go to Varsity Sports. They helped me out. So
Nice.
they helped me get it rolling. Now, they taught me how to do it, but I still had to do it.
Right.
Shout out Varsity Sports.
Yeah. Varsity Sports in KC. They're the original dot logo. If you're in KC, you know the original dot. Dude, everything was going really well. Like right now, I'm having issues getting hats because all the big companies are buying up all the hats because there's a low inventory due to COVID.
Wow.
So I have like 5 hats and I have no clue when else I'm going to get. There you go. The original Dot right there, man. They were the ones that helped me out.
Nice.
They're the ones that helped me out. Awesome, man. That's cool.
So you're saying you have trouble getting hats because
if you're ever in there, tell them, hey, Chris Maleta, Dyrt Lyfe, did a podcast with you. Give me a shout out. So,
absolutely.
So there was little hiccups, but I kind of knew the difference, you know, how to manage them at that. But right now with the hats and everything, that's one of those hiccups that I don't know when I'm going to be able to get hats in right now.
Man.
What about beanies? We love beanies.
I know I need to figure out how to get those done and get a design that I like on those because I really do like the beanies. And
that's how the Velo Garage, KCMO Velo Garage, shout out.
Oh yeah, dude. I talked to that guy also on maybe doing a pop-up shop in his place. So yeah, that's a cool place. But also, man, I got to give a shout out to all my followers and everybody that's purchased. Like, I can't do this without you guys, you know, like, and I just thank you so much. Like, when I tell thank you, like, I mean that deep down. Like, I can't do this without, you know, the fans, the followers, everybody. So if you get a message from me, at this point, it is from me, but I'm starting to get a little bit busier where I may have to, you know, delegate it out to other people. But yeah, so that's, I definitely have my hiccups. I definitely have my roller coaster ride, especially emotional roller coaster ride, because you put so much time and effort in it.
Mm-hmm.
When you hear a no from somebody, it's like, like, you know, because I reached out a business the other day and they weren't as hype as, you know, the other businesses that I've talked to. And it was like, man, but it's just a numbers game, you know, like there's plenty of other people out there. There's the support that people have shown me. Like, you know, it's just, it's awesome, you know?
Yeah, man.
Hopefully I can get it big enough and be a part of the community where when somebody talks about going to Rampage or going to the Rocky Mountains to hike, like Dyrt Lyfe pops into their head, you know? So that would be amazing, you know, to have that.
Oh, it's happening. It's coming. Stick the course, as they say. It's coming. If that's what you want.
Trust the process, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's easier said than done, but at the same time, you just kind of keep your nose down to the grindstone, as they say, and just kind of keep chugging along, man. And just, you know, you really work for it. I really do feel that a lot of those barriers are there to kind of keep those out that don't want it. You know what I mean? Like those no's. Yeah. A lot of people give up. It's like when I was looking at podcasts and stuff, like the success of them, and there's so many of them now. I mean, everyone, that's kind of like the new thing. And that's not really why I started. I started just to, because I had an idea, and I just wanted to see where it went and try to go through it. But I did get podcast fatigue is one of the things they do call it. And that's where, because I do all the video editing, I do plus my own videos on YouTube, and then plus like I'm starting to do I've been like an unofficial video maker for like the nonprofit I write with, the Dyrt Therapy Project. And I've told them that I wanted to start creating more videos. And then I started an annual videos for nonprofits. Like I'm still working on the script for this next year one. And I'm kind of going too big with this. So I might have to push that one to the next one. But either way, it's a lot, and it's a lot of time, and I enjoy doing it. But at the same time, like I did there are times where I do like, man, is it really not necessarily worth it, but is it like I got to pick and choose how I go about it because I don't want to get burnt out. And I kind of, I'm thinking a bit more of as a marathon as opposed to a sprint. And I
Yeah,
think a lot of,
Absolutely.
and
I'm not off the nip. It's always a marathon, baby.
yeah, and I definitely try to just keep I like I really don't focus on followers. I don't focus on any like of that stuff because I feel like some people that do that like not necessarily like they're in it for the wrong reasons. You know what I mean? I mean, obviously, like I'm really trying to do this. I don't know how to call it, but
Connect the dots, man. We're all just trying to connect the dots.
Organically.
organically, exactly, and then like
Mhm.
build it in that way and not really like do all the promotions and stuff. Granted, this isn't a business, but it's just I have a different approach. You know, as the more people I meet, the more connections I make, the more people that get to know me. Just grow it that way, as opposed to like constantly always
Yeah, dude.
promoting my own
Well,
stuff.
and I think one of the cool things that you could do is like you said, is video give out a video description of the trails out in, San Antonio, because I
Yeah.
mean, there's many times where I've looked at like videos, here in Wilmington, it's like, hey, Brunswick Forest Nature Park,
Hmm.
mountain biking videos. And I look at it, and
Yeah.
people down the road could start watching you do that, and then they're like, "Hey, what podcast?" And then now you're interviewing the Rampage guys the week before Rampage or something, like
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I've been doing videos like that, but like it's been more so like away from here. Like I did one recently in Colorado when I went to Carbondale, and I did some trails there, and I kind of put out like a series of them. And been doing like a lot of race ones, some of the races I've
yeah,
done.
yeah,
But yeah, those are things I need to start working on. Like I want to start doing like more instructional ones now that I kind of have some time and experience under my belt, of like cornering and stuff like that, like stuff I've been working on just to try to get more type of you know, because when a viewer watches this, like what's in it for me? Why am I gonna spend 3 minutes or whatever amount of time, and watch this?
yeah, yeah.
But
And
yeah,
then Chuggy needs to get with those guys in KC and do some of those trails, man. There's
maybe you could
uh
borrow a bike, man.
Yeah, I gotta get my PPE first before I'm going down any trail.
There you
Extra
go.
large PPE, some pads, and some gloves.
dude, it's like I said, it's just incredible because there's all sorts of different, things that you can do in the outdoors. And like I said, just I mean, I would take my kids and we would just walk through, the creeks and stuff, through, the parks and stuff, just being outdoors and realizing like you just said, it's not, there's also kayaking and whitewater rafting and,
Fishing. I'm a
climbing.
fisher. I'm getting my bow proficiency right, which I'm terrible, but I got all the stuff. I got some toys for the outdoors. So
Yeah, there was a race there in KC, and I can't remember what the name was, but they went from the Lewis Clark launching point, and it was like a
Mutter 45. I actually did a short interview with a guy that competed in it because my best friend lives in
yeah,
St. Charles, St. Louis, and that's where they go. I couldn't
yeah,
even
yeah.
believe it. I was like, "Are you serious? You take this little kayak all the way to St. Louis from right here?" It was like, "Yeah, man." And
So there's incredible things that people are doing and the outdoors that it's just once you open the book, you're like, oh man, I didn't even know that because I got a there's a girl up in Nebraska that she's got one of those one wheels. Do you know what those are? They're like the skateboard thing
mental
with the
balance.
gigantic
Yeah.
wheel. Dude, she's taking them off like jumps and stuff, going through the trails on it, like blowing them. Like, dude, that looks incredible. I want one of those.
Yeah.
So like
Uh,
recently started tagging her and stuff, and I asked her if I could repost her stuff because I thought it was incredible. I was like, dude, this is really cool stuff. Like
yeah.
there's a lot of people out there doing incredible stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And they're actually, I believe it's those guys. They're starting, you know, I mean, I'm all for them out being outdoor, but at the same time, or we were talking to like trail building and stuff earlier. Some of those people are starting to tailor the trails and make them easier for those one wheel things.
Those
So
one wheel things are
yes,
pretty
they
awesome.
are pretty
They're
awesome,
expensive though, and I'm like, ugh.
but when they're like cutting the trails to make like taking all the technical stuff out to make it more smooth for them, it's kind of like,
Yeah,
you know what I
true.
mean? It's kind of like
Yeah, yeah,
the offset of it is not really
Yeah.
cool. It's because it's almost like you might as well just stay on the pavement if you're gonna make them so smooth. But I also understand that those things need to operate on. I don't know. So I don't know how they're gonna merge those two sports because I don't want to hinder one, but at the same time they're hindering the other
true. Yeah,
one.
yeah. Yeah, I definitely know what you say because, like, man, I like hitting like the chunky stuff, coming downhill and stuff. Like,
Mhm.
it's a blast. But there is a lot of trails too that are pretty smooth, too also. So yeah,
Yeah.
I get where you're going at.
It's
So
like almost like they need to like just earmark certain trails like for the one wheel guys. Like so the real flowy stuff, earmark it for those guys. They just these guys and then the other trails that are like chunky and stuff, like just hey, you guys stay, mountain bikes and e-bikes or
yeah,
whatever, only hikers or
yeah.
whatever. So what are your future plans? Like, if you whatever you feel like discussing. I know you just partnered up with a shop recently in Wilmington.
Yeah, in Wilmington. So Outdoor Equipped, they picked up the line and
Nice.
we
Congratulations.
hooked up. Thank you. Like very nerve wracking. So we're hoping that there's going to be good sales there. So they'll continue picking us up and like I said, I've got a list of just other businesses that we're going to go down to, and we're just going to try to build it organically and I like the social media aspect of it, but like I kind of want to just, build it how old businesses used to do it. But
Yeah, the
You
social
don't want
media.
that old business money though. You want that new business money.
Yeah, the social media.
it's just plenty of stores. I really would like to start up my own store down the road. I have some really cool ideas of where I want it to feel like an old cabin with like old Christmas lights and like just an old cabin feel. Maybe like instead of folding your shirts, they're just thrown everywhere and like
You got to find
that's
him
just the
yourself.
way it is.
Yeah.
The mountain biker, snowboarder, just thing.
Backpacker.
Yeah, just taking it one step at a time, because I do get overwhelmed at some point. Like I said, I've got two kids and myself and, my wife. And sometimes I get a little overwhelmed with trying to do too much at one time. So it's just one step at a time and start trying to get into some more brick and mortar businesses, continue doing the social media. I've got a lot of ideas that I would love to start up a YouTube channel and do some cool stuff, but also knowing that it does take time also, and maybe getting like a pop-up van where I drive around to different locations and we do pop-up events,
Yeah.
Pop-up RV. Big, huge pop-up RV.
Oh, yeah, man. Oh, yeah.
Toy hauler with all the bikes in the back.
Yeah, man, that would be cool because you would be able to still like meet with people and you're on the go. So you also travel, you could also ride, you could also, and then there's that thing of or hiking or whatever. But either way, you're being outdoors and you're that's the icebreaker that you can have to actually connect with people and then they can get to know
Yeah.
you as a person and more than likely like purchase your stuff. You know what I mean? So because they have that personal touch with it.
I really enjoy, meeting people, talking to people, things like that. Also just being able to get out to beautiful places. I think that would be really cool to do. But like I said, just being kind of handcuffed right now on trying to juggle everything. makes it really busy and trying to get out to stuff. But next year I'm going to start getting a list of events here on the East Coast that I would like to go to. I got some, like I said, I got some good followers that have been asking me to come out to different places out here. So I think it would do really well. Like I said, it's just kind of juggling everything. And like I said, the hard thing with COVID right now and making sure that I have supplies and things like that. And also moving halfway across the country and figuring out, you know, how I supply myself that way it was a juggling act, but you know, you figure it out and you keep going, you know, that was actually a really hard thing, especially like I said, holding myself accountable to stuff. I'm trying to figure it out. And then you're waking up at night. Oh yeah. You know, I need to do this. Oh, I need to do this, you know. It's a roller coaster ride, man. And that's what I try telling everybody when they're, hey, are you ready for the roller coaster ride? Because there's some days where I feel overwhelmed, kind of like what you do. And it's like, is it worth it? And then all of a sudden it's like, I get a cool message from somebody, you know, really loving the brand and what we're about. And it's like, all right, like, suck it up. Let's keep going, you know.
This is why you do it. When you get those messages, that's more fuel. So, this is another reason why I do it. So I can see that.
Yeah, and you know, and I also did hear, you know, people say that you don't start businesses over your passion because sometimes it actually ruins your passion for stuff. So I try to juggle everything so I don't, you know, put so much pressure around. But, you know, I'm human and I like to put a lot of pressure on myself.
No, yeah, and are you still doing the firefighter gig over there, or?
So yeah, so I'm a firefighter right now. Continue a firefighter paramedic. So like I said, I'm going on 15 years now, which makes it really good because on my days off, this is what I do. You know, I do Dyrt Lyfe. You know, if it's not designing something or fulfilling an order or contacting stores or, you know, customer service, you know, I try to give the best customer service because, you know, like, again, it's not about me. It's about you guys. You know, I want you to be happy. If you're not happy, then, you know, I'll be more than happy to get your money back, you know?
Right.
But yeah, dude, sorry. Let me hit on that. Yeah. So 15 years I've been a firefighter paramedic. I was in Kansas City and now I'm here in North Carolina doing the same thing. Just one of those things where it's just a passion for it. You know, my grandfather was a firefighter. I still have family in Kansas City that's on the fire department there.
Shouts out to the firefighters around the world.
Yeah. Appreciate your service, man. I know.
Yes, sir.
Dude, I was also there the first day of COVID when they brought our PPE out and they said, hey, here's this thing called COVID-19. Now you guys need to wear this. And we're like, wait, what are you talking about? Is this like outbreak or something? Like what are we talking about here? So
yeah, I got a bunch of buddies that are firefighters here, and yeah, they were telling me, you know, in their own ways, like their own like stories, like kind of, yeah, as we're riding or whatever, or just talking. And I asked questions, you know, curiously, and they're talking about like it's almost, yeah, it was pretty much the same thing. It was just like them having to always get tested every morning. And when they leave shift, getting tested, and then they're also having to wear all this gear, and then having to, you know, interact with the public. It scares like the people that are getting, they have to go into people's houses, so it kind of freaks them out because people are walking in, and so it's just all these different dynamics that you guys have to deal with on top of just being a firefighter and having to deal with the public in general. It's
because you guys were military, right?
Correct.
Yep. Air Force.
So
yeah.
My hat's off to you guys too. Like, I mean, we wouldn't have the country that we have right now without our military, you know?
Yeah. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Yeah.
And I mean, too, you know, and I mean, you do, you know, stuff with like PTSD and stuff like that, you know? Mm-hmm. I mean, going outside and in nature, hiking, biking, I mean, whatever you decide to do, you know, a lot of these guys are doing it just to get rid of that stress, you know?
Yeah.
Getting out there, being active and everything, you know, it's great. And, you know, military, firefighters, police,
First
like,
responders, especially you guys are there first. Like,
I mean, and the nurses, you know, I mean, everybody at the hospital. So it is getting outside and, you know, being out with nature and what God gave us, you know, like that's it, you know?
Yeah, man, it's definitely a reset, and that's one of the reasons why, like, when I found when I started mountain biking, it it definitely kind of started helping me like on various different levels with my own stuff. But then it was just like I wanted to turn around and like, find it, which was a strange place for me because I didn't want anything to do with the military when I got out, for my own reasons. And then I just slowly, but like surely, started running into more veterans that were out riding and stuff. And that I found, like, not found, but I, went on a ride, like a trip with the very first trip with the Dyrt Therapy Project. I didn't even know it was a nonprofit. And me and Jonathan, which is the founder, got to talking. And I was just kind of like, dude, like this right here is like, would be hopeful. And that's why he started it. So I kind of let him know, like, hey man, I'll do whatever I can to raise awareness for your program. Cause I was so like uh excited about it that I wanted to start my own thing, you know what I mean? But he already started it. So I was just like, I'll do whatever I can to raise, like, boost your signal. And then it was just kind of like I started, like trying to raise awareness. That's one of the reasons, another reasons why I started this podcast, is just try to get people outside, out in nature. Cause it's and then I continue to do that. I take veterans out that I run into, and then I, offer. I got an extra bike. I mean, which is, I'm pretty fortunate to have. And then my wife has an extra bike, so I'm telling you, man, we really got into it. And so we use those extra bikes and take people out, if it's their size, and the benefits that they get. Because a lot of it, especially riding a bike, a lot of people can't run anymore, or they can't walk anymore because it's so high impact. So
no running here. No
yes,
way.
yeah, and I try to do that, like, every so often, and I'm hurting afterwards. But I know recently we took out a veteran, and she kind of a multitude of things, like just kind of like most of us, we're on this huge cocktail that that we get from the VA and stuff, like of pharmaceuticals and stuff, and but they're trying to find other ways to like to offset what they're feeling. And so we took her out riding, and she was just like, I mean, it was just on a pay path, but she was over the moon, man. Like she was like excited about. I think they ended up doing, like, my wife and her. It's a friend of hers. She ended up doing, like, I don't know, like 6 miles or something, maybe 7. And but we just couldn't get over it, and she just felt really good. And I was really concerned, like, the next day how she was gonna feel. You know what I mean? Like knees and stuff. But she just said like that her knees were a little sore, but that was like 100% better, not 100%, like 90% better than what before, because before her whole body would hurt, because of, like, like dealing with fibromyalgia and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it's like, so it's just like another avenue. Like I said, I gotta tell people, it's not just one thing that's gonna get you to where you need to get. It's gonna be like a multitude of things. Like, don't just rely on just on mountain biking. Don't just rely on hiking. Don't rely, like, in the military, they always just tell us, like, get your toolbox, your supervisor toolbox, and throw all this stuff in there, and then pull it out when you need it. And it's kind of the same thing. Like when you start seeking treatment, they get you, like, to drawing, or they'll get you to writing. And if those things help you, just kind of stash that away. And then like music and all these different things, and then pull them out at different times. Because if you just rely on one sole thing, and then that's taken away for whatever reason, then you're SOL. You know what I mean?
So
So it's
Chris,
like,
let me ask you this. So not just rely on one thing. So with your primary, job, you being a firefighter, so do they provide you, like, with a psychiatrist and a therapist to unpackage all the stuff that you see, being that you're a first responder, or is it something you got to request, or is it like mandatory?
So I think you would have to request it. But so they started, like, if we run like a pretty difficult call lately, especially when I was in Kansas City, if you ran a bad call, they would contact you as a peer support group would contact you and make sure, you were okay or if you needed to talk about it, which I really think that it's starting to come down now where, like you were just supposed to, gut your feelings in, where some people can, but some people are more a little bit vulnerable to that, that they just saw that call and,
Yeah.
they need help, I've had, like I said, my brother, is a firefighter paramedic there in Kansas City too. We've always bounced things off of each other. I've got some really good friends that we've been able to bounce things off and like get it off our chest if we needed to, So I think it is coming in more in light now.
Yeah, I was just curious with it because I'm going, I got both, and it's through the VA. So, but that's just post, and I wonder, kind of how my military career would have went if I had that during while I was active duty. So that's what I'm kind of curious. Like now, is it like something that's also like with we used to call them our PHAs, like our annual physicals? Is that something that's being a first responder? Is that a part of what they look at? As far as like being physically and mentally, fit for duty, stuff like that?
I would think that it would be a good thing that when you do like a 1 year physical that you do talk to psychiatrists and stuff. Cause I think that some of this stuff could be prevented, with some of that,
Okay.
because you just change as a person, not only by age, but, going through the stressful situations that you guys go through and being in, military. Same thing, you guys go through it all the time. Like, especially if you're, in active duty, have to go through what, if you're kicking down doors or, you're seeing a ton of stuff that not everybody is ever going to see in their life,
Yeah. And with the whole, not to cut you off, but like the whole, man, firefighters might work 3 days and then be off for like 2 weeks. There could be some instances where you might not go to sleep for those 3 days at all, and then have to be totally functional when you get back home. Like some people, but oh man, he just be sleeping. But sometimes that whole time you could be on it and then have to go straight to the family and like cut it right back on.
Dude, there's many times where I was up all night, all day, all night, and then you go home and you're just like a zombie, It usually doesn't hit me till about like 1:00 in the afternoon where it's like, I just need to take a nap right now. Like I just need,
So hats off to you, brother. It's well appreciated, man.
Yeah, well, it's like I said, it's across the board, man. I've got, a ton of military friends that I'm just like, I don't know how you guys did it. It's one thing being a firefighter and being gone for 24 hours or 48 hours. Like, at least we get to come home. If you're deployed across the seas, you never know, it's going to be a long time before you see your family. Like,
yeah, but then there's a reverse. You're a firefighter working in your neighborhood and you see some stuff and you live there and you might have to see, what I'm saying, that's going to remind you like maybe every day.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, it's definitely a double-edged sword both ways, and you can argue both sides, like, but at the same time, it's a culmination of experiences that kind of lead somebody down a path of, I think one big thing you hit on is like, it's your support group, right? So you have your brother, you have other friends that you can confide in and you can bounce stuff and you guys relate to each other. A lot of times, like I'm not saying that, so it's good you have that. And some people don't, or at least in the military, my personal experience is like a lot of people didn't want to talk about that stuff because you could lose security clearances. And if you want to go get help, you could lose a security clearance. Depending on how bad it's affecting you.
About that.
Yeah, and then you also, and it's not a competition thing; it's more so just like an awareness of it. So a lot of people would just bottle stuff up, and then that would lead to drinking, and then whatever their home life is, because they were gone for X amount of months, and relationships, interpersonal relationships, kids, it's just all this dynamics that we all deal with. And it's just not having that release to actually talk about those things. I know I've either read, I think I read something about how in Native American cultures that after, around the fire, and some of the cultures they would talk about like openly around like their battles, and like it was uh something that they talked about like around the tribe, and they were able to kind of like just express those ideas, not ideas, but whatever those experiences were. And you had this openness to talk about it, and people understood what you were going through. And they not only that, but the kids understood what they were getting into growing up. And so there was all these different awareness, but it was a community thing, like, and they were able to talk about those things. But fast forward, you know, to now, it's kind of not, I mean, it's more understood now, but a lot of people didn't do that because, the macho-ness of it and just the security clearances of it. And then there's even some spouses that don't want to hear about it. And then there's also the other side of, you don't want to share some of the specifics because you're afraid how they're going to view you, and so forth and so on. So, I mean, each situation is different, but I'm glad we're coming to a place as a society where we're understanding, and there's other methods to deal with a lot of these things, that we've talked about on this podcast before. More natural remedies, or, I don't know, yeah, more.
Speaking of natural remedies.
Yeah. So, I mean,
hey, you gotta get Chuggy a bike down there, man.
I know,
Yeah.
man. I've been
It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen.
There you go.
What are you riding? A hybrid.
Yeah, I got a hybrid giant. So
Gotcha.
yeah, it looks like a mountain bike, but it's just an overgrown 10-speed.
What kind of truck do you have?
It would still.
Sorry.
Hold on, let me double check it real quick.
All right.
I want to say it's the because somebody asked me the other day, the Fuel EX8
Oh, okay. Nice.
suspension track. So,
Nice.
dude, it's nice. I really like it. So, so the funny story is that so one of the guys I used to ride with back in KC, we went down to Bentonville, and I had this old Trek bike that I had. It was just this old hardtail. Dude, we rode so much in Bentonville that it was like, I think it was like February or March when we went down there. And we were on the back 40 way out. Dude, we're both from Kansas City, and it's starting to get dark. And I'm like, hey, Rodney, like, man, like, we probably should get back to where we came in, because if it gets too dark, we ain't going to know where the hell we're at,
And then the adventure starts.
So we start going, and man, my bike is like falling apart. Like, it is just like, it's
Rattling.
grinding really hard. Like, it's just not shifting. And he's like, well, man, I think the entrance was right over here. I blow my back tire out.
Oh.
So, I mean, it's starting to get dark. Luckily, I had a tube and everything. And dude, long story short, we finally made it to the exit, and it was dark, and we're riding on the street, and we still had, I don't know, it was like a 2-mile drive to where we parked, or 2-mile ride to where we parked. Well, then we go the opposite. We go the wrong way. And I mean, there's just cars going by us with and it was just like, it was a really crazy experience, but it was awesome. And that bike just fell apart. And right after that is when I got my full suspension.
Rode it till the wheels fell off, huh?
Literally rode it to the wheels.
Literally rode it to the wheels off. And like I said, if you haven't been down to Bentonville, Bentonville is an awesome place to ride also.
And nothing but a short drive for Chug.
Yeah. That's a tank of gas for the truck. We out.
So yeah, so that's what I got. That's my little toy that I'm hopefully going to get out to Western North Carolina here. But this first time we're just going out to explore. We got the kids and everything. So
Nice.
like I said, they like the mountain bike, but they like the downhill more than they like the uphill.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
I think we all do.
Oh,
Yeah. The wee moments. I wait for the wee moments, as I like to call it, going downhill.
So I'm planning to do. I got some friends all up down the East Coast, and I've been wanting to take a trip up there. And some of them are in North Carolina, actually. So maybe we could link up and do like a group ride or something. That would be cool as shit. Just
That would
you
be
can meet
awesome,
them
man.
and vice versa, and kind of knock out a bunch of birds with one stone. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a little drive for Chug. 16
Look,
hours.
yeah.
How far are you from Clayton, North Carolina?
You're from here, so you're
I
not.
know where Clayton's at.
I was gonna say that's cute because I probably have like a 20-something hour drive just getting out of freaking Texas.
No, just to get out of Texas, yeah.
Damn, man, my mouth.
Oh, Clayton's like right just south of Raleigh. So probably maybe an hour and a half?
Yeah, I got a Chiefs hat down there at one of my old coworkers, like Simon, at her hat down there. So it's a vintage KC Chiefs hat. So
Nice.
I might just make it do a turn and burn. Who knows?
There you go.
Yeah, so but yeah, man, that would be cool. Like I said, I'm looking forward to Western North Carolina and stuff and hitting some trails. And I thought somebody was saying maybe snowshoe up in maybe Virginia, West Virginia.
I had a buddy, the guy I was just talking about. We've had him on this podcast, Jeff Dardia. He's in North Carolina. Him and some buddies just did snowshoe, and they had nothing but good things to say about it. They said there was some very humbling jumps there. I'll just say that. And
hey, I'm all down for anything where you get to take a chairlift to the top and then you come down. I'm like, that sounds amazing right there.
Yeah, definitely. But all right, man. Well, I think we'll probably close it off here.
Well, thanks for having me, guys. And like I said, I mean, I just want to give a shout out, and I want to thank you guys. I want to thank everybody that's believed in the brand and continued to support us. Like I said, I can't do it without you guys. And again, thanks for having me on here.
Yeah,
Appreciate you.
Thanks.
Yeah, I'm already been following you on Instagram. I got you. So
there you go.
Sweet.
Yeah, man. Thanks again for coming on and giving us your time. I know we had a little debacle this morning, but we got that squared away. And I look forward to having you on again so you can kind of give us an update of where you're at and talk about some other things that we probably didn't cover here. We'll probably think about afterwards. But I wish you all the luck going forward. And where can people find you again?
DyrtLyfe.com. Instagram, we're Dyrt Lyfe. And then Facebook, we're at Dyrt Lyfe.
There you go.
So get on there, follow us, and like I said, message me. I'll message you back.
Hey, thanks for listening. This track right here is from Will Spitwell from his album Midlife Crisis, Paper with the Pen Stays, featuring Chris Prythm. Check them out at push.audio.
But my mind lost into a dark recess like playtime at night school. I'm bad, but life's cool. I mean, how can I complain? Though I feel pain, many others can't, but would like to. Fake it till you make it. Sitting in a circle, heard an alcoholic say it. Ain't really agreed till I finally related. Found myself in the same place, 10 months wasted. But nothing's all bad. Picture the yin-yang, seeing that, so balance is where I then aim. And to hold it all in, I go insane. Thank God for this paper with the pen stains. Yes. Yeah. So always heard that growth hurts, so the blood, sweat, and tears we shed, growth spurts. Thinking long-term shortcuts don't work. Iron bars or the cold earth, for real.
Hard to ignore elephant room, sealed to the wall so they smelling the fumes. At the same time, you could be washed up or hot stuff, and I cannot give less fucks. Part in my debut, feeling like they made you. Critics on your mind, but they MIA in my shoes. Never crossed my thought to do what they ought, so it's pure art. While these other cats slack hard, I fell in love with the keys. Beat seeing me overseas, and my longevity forever be over these. Looking for the shortcut, the cop out. Looking for a quick buck to knock out. Looking for something they not about, how they end up not around. Music is power fuel, fuel for the tinker eye. Sound that'll make you think of I. So original, fakers lie, step aside. When you think of real, think of I.
Always heard that growth hurts, so the blood, sweat, and tears we shed, growth spurts. Thinking long-term shortcuts don't work. Iron bars or the cold earth, for real. My mom say to find a good church. Thought I had, tried to tell me what to wear. No sir, God ain't looking at horses on polo shirts or suits with the matching accoutrements, but your soul's worth. And mine has spots on it. Leftover resent, grass stains, and vomit scatterbrain from the inhale. Puke from the opulent, even when I can't hold it down, know it's toxic. So what am I really doing?